so let's have a conversation. The first question I think is your name. Can you tell us your name and what do you do?
My name is Heather Teffenhart, and I teach piano, violin, and viola. And I've been freelancing as a professional musician for like 30 years.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you basically play in weddings, events.
I play in weddings, and I used to play in Trend Symphony, and that's pretty much it. Just weddings and events.
Nice. And what is the most common kind of events or that you play here in this area?
I would say weddings.
Weddings.
I play a lot of weddings. Yeah.
That's great. Have you ever played in something like very odd event?
I played at a cigar party, so that was
cigar party.
Yes. Where people were smoking cigars, and so that was interesting.
I think that could be odd. Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. And so what is your main instrument?
My main instrument, I started on piano when I was 7. But then when I was 8, I started violin. And then when I was a teenager, I switched to viola. Then in college, I studied mainly viola, and then I minored in piano.
Nice.
But a lot of my career has been violin-based.
Violin-based. Okay.
So really, it's like all 3 instruments.
Looks like you had a lot of, dedication for all the instruments, and that's very cool.
Definitely.
And how did you start learning music? Why do you have this memory? What makes you start the piano?
My neighbor was a piano teacher. So my mom just encouraged me to try the piano lessons. And I loved her. I just fell in love with her, and she was the most nurturing, best teacher ever.
Okay.
And that was it. I just fell in love with piano immediately. And then I started violin because someone came to my school, and so that's how I started that.
That's very interesting. I'm asking this because since we work here together,
right?
And it's very interesting for me always to know, ask my musicians friends how they started learning music and what made them think about being a professional or even start. Because we have these students and we never know. Some of them, the parents say, oh, he wants to do or she wants to do, but sometimes also the parents encourage them. That's very good.
Yeah.
Okay, and can you tell me a little bit, did you go to college or how you...
I went to Eastman School of Music in Rochester, New York. So, and I auditioned on the viola there, but then I studied viola and piano. So
that's nice.
Yeah.
And are you from New Jersey? Okay.
So I'm just from Princeton, New Jersey.
Okay, that's nice. Okay, great. So the reason we decided doing this is because I introduced Heather to the Strangeland piano album, and she learned the music, and I got very, very excited about it. It's very nice, getting to school, listen to somebody playing my music is very good. And I would like you to talk a little bit about the Strangeland, what comes to your attention, and then if you have any question, I can also.
Okay. When I started playing it, the first song I learned was Halloween. And I just loved it. I just fell in love with it. It's kind of I don't know how to explain it. Kind of a contemporary classical, and just your chord progressions, and just before I knew it, like in 1 week, I played the whole book.
Okay.
Because I enjoyed every piece so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think that we just went through Halloween, so Halloween was a good one. Yeah. And do you have any questions you would like to ask about that?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to know, when did you start writing? Like, how old were you?
Okay, you mean
Like,
this album was in general?
just in general, what made you start to compose?
Okay, so very honestly, I think was a little bit because I wasn't able to learn the real repertoire because it was too hard for me. Then I was
Really? So you created your own.
Yeah, I think the very beginning was kind of that. Because here's the thing, I started late on the piano. I was already 18th when I started the piano, and I started the musical instrument as a guitar player.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I was doing classical guitar for a year. So I was reading music, already in the guitar. But then when I started the piano, that was because I just had a spot with this teacher, and I was the only one that showed up for the interview.
Oh,
so I got this spot, and I started the piano. And the beginning for me, the reading was very hard because oh my god, I was reading.
Right.
So I already knew how to read music, but the piano is, I think, it's one of the most hardest thing is to read.
Yeah.
And I think since the beginning I was trying to create some stuff so I could play. Here I also was very addicted to listen to music. Very with the repertoire. So
what type of music was your favorite?
What makes me wants to play the piano was definitely the Mozart piano concerts. I've listened to the 27th in B flat, and I was like, oh my god, this is great. I want to do that. And then I started just getting familiar with the repertoire in general. Chopin, Chopin is one of the most popular that comes, and then little by little, that was the time when we started burning our own CDs.
Oh, right.
I think that was
yeah.
the beginning of the 2000s, and that was this website with a lot of MP3 you could download. And I remember burning a lot of CDs and listening to everything. So I think that was also part of the process of composing. But I started composing for guitar first, and then I think my process was always composing and learning music. That's why. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Wow.
And this book specifically, here is how this the idea popped it up. When I moved here, I was teaching in a very small school, and they didn't have too much material, and also I didn't have access, and I knew what my students should be playing, so I started writing things here and there. And then I realized the kids really like it, the pieces, and I don't know, just maybe because the teacher is writing something, right? And then I was writing in class, or sometimes I used to write at home for some students. And then we had the pandemic.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And I had a lot of pieces that I had already wrote, and I decided to put them together and try to release the album. And then I spoke with my friend Ari Ascioli, who did the illustration.
Very nice.
Very nice. So that was a very important part of the process, because I had the 15 pieces, and I recorded. I had a playlist. I sent him. I said, "Hey, if you want to do, I would like to have like one illustration for each song. And he did very quick. He listened to all the music, and he sent me like the draft. And if you see here in the cover, he told me that he was kind of inspired in my, the process I'm moving to US. So here's the flag colors. He says that I am that guy in a balloon. And Strangeland. So yeah, and then this cat, he used to be my roommate. Not the cat. The cat is because after I moved, he got a cat, and so in this book there's in the illustration there's a little bit of the cat as well, which I think is very
that's
cool.
another thing. I have admired the illustrations a lot.
Yeah, their illustrations are great.
Absolutely, yeah. I like to give this to my kids. I've assigned my students some of the pieces because sometimes they feel like, like this is a baby song, like that I give them like something that they just feel is overplayed. So I'm like, well, let me give you something really interesting. And so they love this because they're great pieces and they're enjoying them a lot.
Thank you very much. And which piece or pieces that you think could be good to work with the students?
Well, I've given a student Spooky. They love Spooky because it's just really neat sounding and it was appropriate for their ability. And also, I like Steps to Heaven because instead of doing a boring A major scale, you can play this piece and learn the A major scale with an interesting structure.
Yes, that's great. Yes, and this one specifically, I also try to work a little bit of the classical sonatina language in a very short piece. This is the other thing, the pieces are short, they are not very long pieces. Yes, Spooky, I just taught a student, he really liked it too.
Spooky's fun.
Spooky,
yeah. A lot of them are so fun. This one I love, La Barcarolle.
La Barcarolle,
Is that how you would say it? Because it gives the students practice how to play the melody in the left hand. And that takes practice for them, so how to play that right hand.
How to balance,
exactly. So and it's very beautiful too.
Nice.
So I like that one too.
And this is a movement of like the boat. Kind of like.
Yeah, soothing. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, very nice.
Nice. Oh, look, the cat over there.
Yeah. I like also the way you talk about what the student is learning in here. So that's really good.
That's also another part that I wanted to talk about. That was another friend that helped me. His name is also Daniel.
Okay.
He lives in Virginia.
Okay.
He's a great musician, pianist, and he has been living here for I think like more than 10 years, and he helped me a lot with the English.
Oh, okay.
And also with the texts. So all these comments are from Daniel Inamorato.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, that was very cool. And it was very interesting also for me to listen, to read something like that, some analysis.
Right.
Because there was a lot of things here that I was reading and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
I also love Creepy House.
Creepy House.
Creepy House is so fun to play.
Oh, that's nice. The Creepy House. Here's the picture. Was the only piece that I sent a picture to my friend Ari, the illustrator, and I said this is the only one that I would like to be based on a real picture.
Yeah.
And this is the house I used to live here in Newark.
Ooh.
Yeah, I lived there for about like 4 years, and I was very lucky because I was already. This is a church house.
Ooh, it was creepy.
It's creepy because it's very old, belongs to the church, and all the furniture, everything is donated. So there's a lot of pictures from people that we never know who are those people, and it's an old house, but it's very nice. I'm still going over there, and I really like the way it in the winter without the leaves, the trees without the leaves. So it's great. It really like.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so yes, this is it's not a method, but it's a book with pieces for, I would say, performance, and so the idea, just to finish about the book, I think was how to introduce the students to the repertoire.
Right.
Because we're going to talk more about this, think about methodology, but if we use, doesn't matter the methodology, but when you go to the piano repertoire, to the real pieces, let's say Clementi or even the Bach minuets, I always feel as we have a gap between that. And the idea with these pieces was exactly to just have more material to help with this transition. I think the pieces fit for that. Some are a little bit more, complicated. Some are easier. But yeah, it's just a contribution.
Yes.
Okay, so
and when did you write these pieces?
That was since 2018 into when I released, I think in 2020, I was still writing some things here and there. But yes, most of the pieces were like, for example, Steps to Heaven was a piece that I was in a break, like 30 minutes break, and I was like, I need more pieces. And then I sat and I wrote.
Oh my gosh.
It's incredible how sometimes that goes like this, because I think if I was planning too much, that would not come like that. It was just bam, and I wrote.
Wow.
I remember I didn't even wrote all the notes, because I knew the idea. I just wrote the things that was more different, like things that I really needed to. The scales I didn't write, just like a trips like this. Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's not very, very old. And now I'm trying to write more. Those pieces.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It didn't come up as an album the same way. Maybe I have to release them a different way. But yeah, that's the idea.
Excellent.
Okay, I also had let me just see something.
Yeah, sure.
See if it's still recording. Yeah. Sometimes I get surprised.
That's okay.
So Heather, I also would like to talk a little bit more about musical education. Here's the thing. I know, like, public schools in general have music lessons here, and how, I think the question is, how would you describe, or what do you have to say about the musical education in this country in general, and is there something you miss, or just a general comment?
Gosh, that's a good question. I think in general in this area, the music education system in the public school is excellent. I was very lucky to grow up in Princeton, and they had a string department and a band and choir, and that's a really, really big part of why I became a violinist. So I do feel just around this section in central New Jersey, it is excellent.
Excellent.
Really excellent, yeah.
And this education you're mentioning now, that was attached to the Princeton University or?
Just like the Princeton public schools. Like it didn't have to do with the Princeton University.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, they have you start strings in fourth grade, and if I hadn't started in the school, I would never have started violin.
Yeah.
So for me, that was a great blessing. So I think in general, it's good.
It's very good.
Really yeah.
Nice. Great. And so at the school you had this violin lessons, and you went to a private teacher? You looked for a private teacher?
Yeah, so what happened is I started just in the public school program, and then the teacher recognized that I had talent, and so she said, she wanted to give me private lessons as well. So about a year into my journey of learning violin, I started with the private lessons.
Nice.
And with violin, that's very critical because there's so much positioning work, even more than piano, I think.
Yeah.
Although there is that in piano. But
yeah, and the violin,
yeah,
the notes are not, like, say, ready. You have
exactly,
to,
exactly. So, yeah, so that was, I'm very thankful in general for the public school system. So.
That's great. That's great. And so do you think you have more violin students or more piano students?
Right now in the school, I have 90% piano students. But I have a home lessons as well, and those are more violin and viola. So really I'm about 50-50, I think.
I see.
I really enjoy teaching the piano a lot, so I've always just had a mix.
Okay,
like
nice. And that also comes to my mind a question. What would you say that are the challenges teaching violin or piano? Can you talk me a little bit? Tell me a little bit.
Yeah.
Each.
Sure. No. That's very good. Well, violin, obviously, intonation. You know, there's no fretboard, nothing. I mean, you really have to have a good ear. And it's very complex with the bow grip and the way you hold it. Everything is very, very particular. So that's the main challenge, is just getting it in tune and everything. With piano, you're playing many notes at the same time, many different voices. So I feel like that comprises an extra challenge to that.
There's something that I'm curious about, because is that common? Sometimes you have a student with a very good ear, because it's necessary on the violin, but let's say the mechanical part or the the repetition,
right?
It's not very, very good. And how do you work when you have a situation like that?
Say that again.
Okay. My question is, because it's everything about the ear, right?
Right.
And it's like on the piano, sometimes we have very talented students,
right?
But the repetition is boring. It's boring for everybody.
Yes, okay.
But in the piano, the notes are there. How is that in the violin?
Right.
Do you have situations like that?
Yes. I mean, violin, you have to do a lot of repetition, a lot of exercises, and things like that.
To get the notes correctly.
Yes, you have to.
A very small motion, it's already enough to sound out of tune.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So you have to do lots of scales, lots of arpeggios, lots of exercises. You have to just get the basic technique involved.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And how about the piano? Is there any specific approach or methodology you like to use?
I mean, the truth of what it is I learned with the music tree. Okay, my first teacher who I loved, I used the music tree, I loved the music tree. But usually I take a basic methodology and then add a few of my own songs to make it really interesting.
Yeah, I think this is something interesting. It's important to use different material out of the piano book.
Yes.
It doesn't matter because there's no,
This is why I love your pieces.
Okay.
Because they're just a super, super fun, interesting way for the kids to learn extra.
Thank you. There's many methodologies. I think this is something that was very interesting for me moving here when I started realizing that there's so many methods and authors and publications.
Right.
And anyways, I could mention a lot of them. Mm-hmm. And I have like phases. Sometimes I stick with some methodology, say, oh, this is nice, and then I go use. Mm-hmm. And then I say, let me do this differently, or so I think especially if you teach a lot, like we do, we are always experimenting and changing our minds, our point of views, and this is great. I think this is part of the development.
Yes.
Now, I've been, of course, we always use some methodology to support the process. I like to say that I do not believe in linear learning process, because I think we are always learning things here and there. So sometimes, for example, sometimes you have a student, you're going to play a song in G minor, but you didn't learn that key. Let's learn the key. Right. So I think since the very early beginning, I think the process is always like that. And of course, we have things that are very, we have to do, for example, what you're saying, the technique, the arpeggios, the scales, otherwise would not sound good. And what I've been doing is, I use the methodology just like for a very short time. And I like to work the basics, so I do rhythm every class.
Yes.
Let's play on the piano. Let's read rhythm. Let's sight read a little bit. Let's play the scales, arpeggios. I like to teach a lot talking about gestures, because the piano, it's a lot about gestures, how to understand articulation and all these things, all based on gesture. And
definitely
listening also. I have a bunch of CDs. I buy CDs like crazy, and now I have my library. I have a spreadsheet where I give the students, see that CD over there. I give the students a CD for a week, and they have to listen and bring back, because
that's a good idea, and I'd like to implement that.
It's good. It's good because it's a language, how they will know how the classical sonata sounds if they never listen to that. I can say many things, but nothing better than listen to that.
Right.
So, okay. Is there anything you miss, or if you think we are missing in general in for example in the piano education, or
I feel, my training in piano, I'm trained in classical and jazz, so I feel like I really like to implement a little bit of improvisation, and so I have my kids do some, very classical, and then some a little bit jazzy, and I introduce them to like the blues scale, so they can do some basic improv. So, and I think that that's an important element, actually. I really do. Because it just opens their creative process, and they enjoy it.
Yeah,
so
for
much.
sure.
And I actually encourage my kids to compose a song.
Yeah.
I really do. And sometimes they come back and they say, oh, I composed this song, and they're very proud of it, and we'll expand upon it and work on that. So I like, I have a very creative approach with my kids. So
that's great.
That's what I like to do.
I think composing is very interesting because I have one student that composes too.
Really?
Yes, and it's interesting because they get to a point where, I wanted to write this, but I don't know how to write. Oh yeah, so let's think about it. Why you don't know?
Right.
Let's work at this rhythm. Why is this rhythm? It's exactly what you wanted. How to sound? Are you sure it is that? Where is it? So the creative process helps them with theory, with the musical development.
Absolutely, and it just keeps them excited about music. That's the main thing in my teaching. Is you wouldn't call it a methodology, but I just like to keep things fun. As fun as possible. You have to have those technical elements. They have to do the scales and arpeggios and learn their theories, but on top of that, they should just have. I think it's important for the kids to have a special song that they're interested in, that they're interested in learning.
And sometimes composing can be very very helpful. Yes, definitely. Okay, I have a question now.
Yeah.
This is. You can take your time to answer. Do you think music or musical education, it's something available for everybody?
Is it available for everybody? No, I don't. I don't think it's available for everybody. There's a lot of areas that don't have good music education, and that is tragic, in my opinion. I mean, I'm a shy person, and if I didn't have music in my life, I don't know what I would do. It's just the main thing my whole life that's helped me. So I think it's so critical that kids in all areas get the music education.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's available.
You don't think it's available for everybody?
No.
And what would you think we as musicians, as music teachers, as just like ordinary citizens, doing our stuff, how can we help to provide more musical education for the society, for those who can't maybe afford or... Right.
I mean, I feel like it would be nice to have just a program where teachers volunteer, and I would be happy to do this, to go to an area where they don't have access to music education, and maybe for a discounted price or something, and offer some services to that area. I know that's something I would definitely do.
Okay, that's great.
Yes.
That's great. So this is something I like to ask for every time I have a situation like this, because I had the opportunity in my country, so Pan for Brazil, who doesn't know, and I had this opportunity. I worked in a non-profit for 7 years, and I was doing the coordination and also teaching. And this I can say the name is called Instituto Grão de Areia, which means grain of sand institute. So there's this idea of a grain of sand, which it's a little bit, and then so they basically teach music for free for the students and families in this area in São Paulo city, and that was a great opportunity. I think, I'm pretty sure I see students who are from my, first generation, like 2012.
You're right.
And now I
Right.
see them, some of them, they went to school, to college to learn music, and now they're becoming music teachers and basically just, spreading the word.
Wow.
And that's very, very...
That's powerful.
Yes, it's very important. I think we should have more of these programs in general.
We should.
Yeah.
We definitely should. For music and art, all of the arts is critical
Yeah.
to our education and
Yeah.
development as humans.
Definitely.
For sure.
This is something very interesting because I see many times the parents, and I understand because this is it's a society set, I think, where they are very concerned if the kids will be able to get a good job or
Right.
Being very good
Right.
in math and stuff like that, which is
Exactly.
of course important.
It
But-
is to a degree.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
But in terms of knowing, art, or people just treat this as something that's not very important, which
Right.
it's crazy in my point of view, because art, it's a language, it's
Yeah.
communication. If
Yeah.
you cannot communicate, why to learn all these other things if you're not communicating?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I agree with you so much. Like music is healing in so many ways. It's fun, it's healing, it's communication, it's so many things. So
Yeah.
it's very important. It should be the last thing people cut.
yeah, definitely.
So
So Heather, thank you very much.
yeah.
I think we had a very nice conversation. This is to be informal. And thank you very much. I
It's a
really
pleasure.
appreciate.
Pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you very much for playing my music.
Yes,
And-
thank you. I enjoy it so much. So
Thank you very much. So let's listen to your piano a little bit.